And we're off. It's Derby time, and we're getting you ready for the biggest weekend in horse racing. So saddle up and hold on tight. Beat the Odds starts right now.
From our Las Vegas studios, this is Beat the Odds, sponsored by Superbook Westgate Las Vegas.
All right, so one of us is a little underdressed. Oops. Welcome to this special Derby edition of Beat the Odds from inside our Las Vegas studio. I'm the underdressed Dave Hall.
Yeah, you look like you're going to a funeral. I'm Mariah Janos. Before the ponies run for the roses, some of you will be running to the betting window. So let our stable of studs help you out.
Our stable of studs.
Yeah.
I like that. It includes the lean, mean betting machine, Teddy Covers, and the man who makes the dad bod, the rad bod, Fat Jack. All right, coming up on today's show, Teddy and Jack will break down the Derby field, which horses look good and which long shots could pay off big.
Plus, we'll chat with a guy who's had a front row seat to the Derby for years. Hear why the coat color of the horse could be a factor. I'll be back in a few minutes. Now over to the stable of studs.
That's the best introduction we're ever going to get.
I love it.
I like that.
If Mariah's not MVP of this show, everything's rigged, because that was an incredible outfit. Everything got going on.
She is ready. All right, hey, it's great to see you guys again.
Yeah.
It's been a few minutes.
Good to see you.
Pleasure's all mine. I like to be one of the stable of studs.
Right?
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure who's coming up to this pasture to anything, but yeah, we're going to try. It's not going to be pretty for sure.
It's not going to be our wives. That we do know.
No, exactly. They let me go a long time ago.
Hey, before we dive into the Derby too much, we're not going to have to wait until Saturday for the big race, because we have one, a high-stakes race on this show. We're calling it the Beat the Odds Derby. Those four silhouettes are the three of us and Mariah. We're going to be racing later in the show. We also have our racing nicknames, which are pretty sassy, and later will be revealed in the show. So also, instead of a blanket of roses, our winner will get probably a fake plant or something. So
that's about what we deserve.
Yeah,
I'm excited
exactly.
about this show, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, the Derby's a lot of fun. It's one of those dreamer events during the course of the year where if you're a gambler in any way, you can make money betting on this thing. And so it's a lot of fun, but it's very difficult. 20 horses typically, a big field. Everybody who thinks they have a chance might have a chance. There's this old saying in horse racing, if you want to become a millionaire, start as a billionaire and start buying racehorses.
I like that.
That's typically, it's a very expensive hobby, but it's the one thing in our country where you can own a champion franchise as a normal guy. And so those dreamers out there, their dream starts here this Saturday.
Gotcha. All right, well, what's a good launching point, Teddy, in terms of a gambling angle for a lot of people who may be betting for the first time?
Well, you know me. I'm going to focus on the odds. And there's a huge difference between parimutuel odds, what we see for horse racing, and sports betting odds, what we normally talk about. Horse racing takes their money off the top. They can never lose. It's a fixed percentage for their hold. Whereas books, they can lose money in any given day on sports betting, but they will make more money when the Joes or the pros end up losing. So horse racing takes the money off the top, sports betting doesn't. Sports betting odds can change. Whereas, you can see one person at -2.5 and one person at -3 and another guy at +3.5, depending on where they bet and what line they got. Horse racing, the odds aren't finalized until the wagering ends and the race begins. So everybody gets paid the same amount regardless of when you made your wager.
Yeah, so you walk up to the window and it's 30-1, but if it goes off at 12-1, you're getting 12-1 versus the 31. The track is the only one that determines those odds.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Well, you learn something new every day, right?
Good job, Jack. What's another, people gambling on this for the first time, something they may not know?
Yeah, well, how hard it is, how difficult this race is. This is a lot like betting on 13-year-old people. Men or kids that all have real fast athletic parents, but you have that kid who go away for the summer and he comes back, he's grown 4 inches, he now can jump through the gym before he looked like a giraffe on legs. I mean, it's kind of that way with horse racing, because when you're talking about 3 years old, they are not the fastest horses out there. The Classic winner last year was a full 2 seconds faster than what the Derby winner was. So they grow and mature with every race, and there's different philosophies on how to approach that. You'll have trainers that say, we're going to race a lot early and then rest them right before. There's other horses going this year that they are racing a lot right before. You have to earn points to get in this race, so a lot of different ways to get in the race, but very difficult to predict the winner.
All right, we're going to do a deep dive into some of the horses that you guys like and some of the long shots as well, so stick around for that. Las Vegas sports books are always jam-packed for this race. They have such a great time. Mariah is at the Superbook Westgate Las Vegas with more on that.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here with EVP of Superbook Operations, Jay Cornegay. Jay, it is Derby week. What makes this event the most heavily bet out of them all?
Well, this is the most prestigious race in the world, and it attracts so many different people. You have seasoned veterans that are horse players that are in sports books throughout the city almost every day, and then you have people that are watching a one race each year, and this is the only one that they watch. So the demographics are across the board.
Now, this is like the OG of sports betting events. How have you seen the handle evolve over the years?
Well, on the sports side, we've seen such a huge increase on the sports wagering side, but on the Derby side, it's held its own because I think it's just an event that attracts so many different people, and the event and all the different parties that surround the Derby really attract a lot of fans, whether you're a seasoned veteran or you're just a newcomer and a novice to the sport.
Now, this race is really hard to predict. What is the most recent upset that you can recall?
Well, let's just go back to last year, Mariah. Rich Strike won the Derby at 80-1 odds. Whenever we have a long shot, you can almost guarantee the following year everybody's going to be playing long shots, and that's just something that we've seen over time. But what that creates is value on some of the favorites.
All right, Jay, thank you so much. Dave, we'll send it back to you in studio.
All right, thanks, guys. Hey, we're just getting started. Up next, Teddy and Jack will look at the betting odds, including which long shots have a shot. Plus, after calling us the stable of studs, Mariah's going to make fun of us.
I mean, what's new? So, what is the go-to drink at the Derby? It's the mint julep, of course. Get this, each year at the historic Churchill Downs, over 120,000 mint juleps are served. That means over the course of the Derby weekend, 1,000 pounds of fresh mint are used, as well as 60,000 pounds of ice. What goes into this delicious concoction? Bourbon, simple syrup, and mint. Cheers to that, y'all.
Beat the Odds is sponsored by Superbook Westgate Las Vegas.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Coming at you from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from BeatTheOddsTV.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
The interviews, the stories, plus a unique spin on sports history. Your ticket to in-depth content as seen on the show is all at BeatTheOddsTV.com. Check it out today.
Welcome back to Beat the Odds. What is the record for the most money wagered on the Derby? 2022 was a historic year. $179 million was wagered on the Derby, which shatters the previous record set back in 2019 when $165.5 million was wagered on the Run for the Roses.
A lot of people love the colorful names. We need a horse called Sin City. It may not win, but it would definitely be the life of the party, right? Hey, scan that QR code. It will take you to our party. Otherwise, our website, BeatTheOddsTV.com. All right, now back with Teddy and Jack. Jack, as you mentioned, 20 horses in the field, so crazy stuff happens all the time. It's hard to pinpoint what horse is going to do what. I know you guys have both done some deep dives on some of the horses, so what are the ones you're looking at?
Yeah, and unlike sports betting, you can make a case for most of these horses because they just don't have enough experience. And the reality is most people out there betting will be betting on one because it's the same name as their cat. I mean, those type of things, that's how you end up picking winners in this race because it's very difficult. So look for value, I believe, but if you're talking about some favorites. Both of Todd Pletcher's horses, he has multiple horses, but two of his horses are kind of favorites. He's one of those connections that typically does well in the race. King's Barn, the 6 horse, and then of course the favorite Forte out of the 15. But both these horses have run well. The favorite right now is, I'm sure Teddy's going to talk about, he has earned the right to be the favorite. But King's Barn's one of those, he ran the Tampa Derby, has tactical speed. He can, and that's what you need. You need to be able to close if you need to run fast if you need to, and be able to turn it on and off at exactly the right time.
I'm going to put my money on Hit Show, which is clearly named after Beat the Odds.
Right, exactly.
So,
and those are coming up. Hit Show and Disarmed, longer shots. I like both those horses. Hit Show was in the Derby up in New York, ran second or third, and definitely was there right to the end. You don't necessarily need your horses to win every single race this time of year to win this big race, because they're getting better every time out. Disarm, Steve Asmussen's horse, the only one he has in the race. He had the favorite last year that got overtaken at the end. He's the most winning trainer in America. Most people don't know that because he does it in the Midwest at the Oaklawn, Fairgrounds, those type. Has never won the race. He has Disarmed at a big price coming up on Saturday.
All right, Teddy, what are some of the horses you're looking at?
Well, let me start with this. I never want to pretend that I'm a horse racing expert. I'm not. But when you live in Las Vegas for 25 years, you get to know people. And I talk with my friend Marco, I talk with my friend Paul, I talk with my other friend Paul, I talk with Frank. And I got a bunch of good suggestions, though, although what you were saying, Jack, a moment ago, you got to be lucky to win this race. I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. That being said, the favorite is the favorite for a reason. Forte, the number 15 horse. 7 lifetime starts, 6 wins. You talked about Todd Pletcher, the jockey, Ortiz. This is the horse to beat. They deserve to be chalk. And let's not forget Angel of Empire, the number 14 horse, a horse that's peaking at just the right time. 2 favorites to consider. We'll talk about long shots a little bit later.
All right, thank you, fellas. We did see a long shot win this race last year. Mariah is back with the 5 biggest upsets in Derby history. Mariah.
One of the best things about the Derby, besides the fashion and the mint juleps, the unpredictability of it all. The fastest 2 minutes in sports has delivered some major upsets. So I looked back and found the top 5. Coming in at number 5, Giacomo in 2005. A lot of 5s. Owned and bred by music executive Jerry Moss, the horse entered the Derby with only 1 win to his name. He gained speed down the stretch and pulled out in front of a 3-horse finish. His odds heading into that race, 50-1. Next up, we got Mind the Bird in 2009, also priced at 50-1 odds. Halfway through the race, Mind the Bird was in last place. What transpired after that was one of the greatest comebacks in Derby history. Down the final straight, Mind the Bird charged past the field to claim the largest margin of victory in over 60 years. And number 3, a bit more recent, Country House in 2019. Country House's run was historic in more ways than one. Not only did he overcome insurmountable 65-1 odds, but his victory marked the first time in Derby history that the horse to cross the finish line first, Maximum Security, did not win because Maximum Security was being shady to the other horses. And the second largest upset happened just last year. Rich Strike defying 80-1 odds. 48 hours before the race, Rich Strike was nowhere near the conversation of Derby champions. He wasn't even in the race at all, but another horse scratched, and that opened the door for Rich Strike. And the biggest upset ever came back in 1913. Dave, Jack, and Teddy remember it like it was yesterday. Donerail was the longest of long shots. At 91-1 odds. There was overcrowding at the stable at Churchill Downs, so poor Donerail had to crash at the stable down the street and walk 3 miles on dirt and cobblestone on the day of the race, and he still won. How about them apples, Dave?
Yeah, Mariah, Jack, in fact, was wearing the exact same outfit back in 1913 when that race happened. Amazing. It's held up over time. Up next, it's our big race, the Beat the Odds Derby. Plus, there are a lot of factors when betting, including the coat of the horse. See which color has way more wins than any other.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Coming at you from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from BeatTheOddsTV.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
The interviews, the stories, plus a unique spin on sports history. Your ticket to in-depth content as seen on the show is all at BeatTheOddsTV.com. Check it out today.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
But it's still Secretariat holding on. Secretariat by 2 lengths. It is Secretariat. He's coming to the wire. He wins it by 2.5, almost 3.
As Secretariat and jockey Ron Turcotte crossed that finish line, they also crossed into a history of horse racing that has never been achieved since. During this special time of year, there's nothing that lights up everyone's smells, tastes, sights, and sounds like Derby Day in Louisville, Kentucky. For many, it's the party of the year. More than 150,000 guests expected, and don't forget the attire that others have been planning for months. As racing continues, the day grows louder. Everyone eager to hear that call. Emotions, tension, enthusiasm. Many will still want this day to continue long after the winner crosses the finish line. And will this year's Derby winner cross into the history books as the fastest horse to win the Kentucky Derby?
Thanks to our friends over at Wave for that amazing video. Now we're joined by John Bull from Wave in Louisville, Kentucky. John, thank you so much for joining us ahead of the big weekend.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks, Mariah.
Now I want to get right into it. What is the energy like around Louisville at this time of year?
Energy is huge. We've come through a 5-year span here. We had 3 inches of rain one year and a disqualification the next and a pandemic the next with no fans and then another disqualification and then the second longest shot ever to win. So we're searching for some normalcy. This is good times.
Yeah, certainly. Some normalcy maybe would be nice, but what can people expect out of this year's race?
People can expect a wide-open field here. There's no monstrous favorite coming in, although Forte is highly touted as a 2-year-old champion. But this is going to be an incredible race, and another 80-1 bomb could come in like Rich Strike last year.
We love those long shot odds. Now, this is a very historical race. What are some of the staples of the Derby?
Staples of the Derby are things that we're celebrating this year. The 50th anniversary of Secretariat, tomorrow's Champions Day, the fastest time ever recorded, 1:59 in the Derby, and every furlong Secretariat ran faster than the other. So everybody's always trying to measure up to Secretariat, and now we are celebrating Secretariat.
Now, there's 20 horses competing. What does this year's field look like?
Well, this field is contentious. It's probably 5 or 6 deep with the really highly touted horses. But Forte, the 2-year-old champion, is the one that's morning line at like 5-2. But their Angel of Empire looks really, really good. Tappet Trice coming in off the bluegrass, a beautiful gray. People love to bet the grays. So it's coming in loaded as usual, and you never know when a bomber's going to come in.
Now, what are some things that people should maybe keep in mind when they want to bet on the race, if they want to go up to the window in person or if they're doing it online?
Don't bet too much. I've come to the conclusion this year that you can't take this seriously after Rich Strike got in at the last second last year and then won at 80-1. So don't bet too much. But if you're going to exacta boxes, trifecta boxes are hard enough to hit when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, and they pay a humongous amount, especially if a long shot cracks in there in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Now, do you have a prediction for this year's winner?
Yes, my prediction this year is a little off the board here. I've been touting Angel of Empire for a long time, and because the Arkansas Derby did a little film study, and Angel of Empire circled the field and ran away from the other horses. Most of the other Derby preps have been close. Angel of Empire looks ready to roll.
All right, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that one. John, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the Derby. And now we'll send it back to Dave in studio.
Yeah, thanks, Mariah. Back with the boys. Let's keep talking about long shots because, you know, you see those odds 30 to 1, 80 to 1. It's very enticing, isn't it?
Sure, it's enticing. They're not likely to win, but when they do, you get a big payday.
Yeah.
Like I said, you'd rather be lucky than good in this race. Any day of the week, I'd rather be lucky than good. That said, let's talk about a couple of long shots. My friend Marco passed these along to me. He says the number 17 horse, Derma Sotogate, I believe is the way you pronounce it. Whatever, the number 17 horse.
Brother of
17.
Domo Agate.
Japanese horses 0-18 in the Derby. This is the best one that's ever run. He says keep your eye on it. The other one we talked about was Mage, the number 8 horse. He hasn't been as his best yet, but this is a horse who's getting better every race.
Yeah, and long shots are really the theme. I mean, because you're going to have favorites win some, but the reality is you're not going to get an 81 shot, but you're also not going to get the chalk most of the time. It's going to be somewhere in the middle because of what we've talked about. And, you know, last year was the longest, one of the longest in the history of the race, and I have Oklahoma ties to this horse. I live probably 5 miles from the owner of this thing.
Oh, wow.
And I was out of the country, but I actually got a call from one of the people that works at one of the off-teller sites. He says, hey, this is a horse of late entry. You should bet some money on it. Of course, I bet $0 on it, and I've heard about it ever since. So, but long shots definitely are the way to look because you have horses that are improving every single race. Justify, the last Triple Crown winner, he got it done, but there was a big gap. You know, you had him and you had American Pharoah right before that, but before that there were 30 years. So really hard to win all three, especially the way that these horse owners approach these 3 races.
All right, you guys, we're going to have their top picks next. Plus, it's almost time for the biggest race of the weekend, our Beat the Odds Derby. It's time to unveil the nicknames, you guys. So here's the field. David Terriot, Buttermilk Biscuit, New England Sympathizer, and Smarty Covers. All right, we're all heading to the starting gate. Race time is next.
Before we head to break, how many horses have won the Triple Crown? The answer, 13 horses to be exact. The first dates back to 1919 with Sir Barton. The last horse to do it, that was Justify back in 2018.
Coming at you from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from BeatTheOddsTV.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
The interviews, the stories, plus a unique spin on sports history. Your ticket to in-depth content as seen on the show is all at BeatTheOddsTV.com. Check it out today.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Welcome back to Beat the Odds in our Las Vegas studio. It's time for top picks. Teddy, start us off with all your wisdom and knowledge.
Sure. Like I said, I don't know anything about horse racing.
Tell us who Vinny likes.
But I know, I know guys that do.
One-armed Louie.
Okay. So this is a key, all right? The guys that are beating the horse racing markets are focusing on the head-to-head matchups far more than the let's win the race type of matchups. But the horses that I'm personally highlighting, the number 8 horse, the 14, the 15, and the 17. I'm looking for those 4 horses in head-to-head matchups.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Jack, you're the expert, so what do you got?
1, 6, 11, 15. All right, Steve Asmussen has not won this race. He's the winningest trainer in America. He had the favorite last year that got overtaken by the Oklahoma-owned horse. He's due. If there's a thing to being due, he is a horse that they're racing a lot lately. That's not something that you typically do in this era. They normally really like to preserve their energy. He's been running them a lot lately. He's run back 3 weeks at a time. I think he's peaking at the right time. Give me Disarm to win, and that superfecta is going to pay for dinner. So let's get after it this weekend.
All right, dinner on Jack. Let's end the show with the big race of the weekend. We've been building it up. It's the Beat the Odds Derby. It's the four of us. Instead of a blanket of roses, though, the winner is going to get that, whatever that is, that fake plant.
It's been a rough 30 minutes. We went from being a stable of studs to I'm now Buttermilk Biscuit.
Right.
And that's a tough half hour.
So we even have the racing nicknames once again. There's Dave Terriot, Buttermilk Biscuit, the disgraced nephew of Seabiscuit, the New England Sympathizer, and Smarty Covers. Are we ready?
Yeah!
Let's go.
The crowd is ready. It's race time.
Wow. Look at her go. Look at her go.
There it is.
The sass on that one. I tell you.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's rigged. It's
Sass
rigged.
level is high.
Ladies first.
By the way, it was a very short race because we don't have a lot of stamina.
I was
So.
supposed to get a head start for being 28 pounds over.
Well, I was last. At least you weren't last in this race. All right, you guys, we had a blast bringing you the show all season long. We will see you again in about 4 months for next pro football season.